Hello, we're back together once again, and we are going to talk about the question lots of people like to ask, which is, have you ever? Have you ever? So we're working with the present perfect here, and in this case, we are asking a question that uses unspecified time. Unspecified time, which means that we're not asking about a specific time like since or for. This is something that is completely general. So let's take a look at this. I have a few questions for you. I have hiked in interesting places. That means in the past, up until now, I hiked. I did some hiking, but I'm not giving you a specified time. I'm just saying in my lifetime. My question to you is, have you ever hiked? How would you answer that question beyond a simple yes or no? Rather than just saying yes or just saying no, how can you give a more complete answer to that? How would you use the present perfect to do that? Here's another question for you. I have been to many baseball games. Have you ever been to a baseball game? Or how about this one? I have seen the Golden Gate Bridge. Have you ever seen the Golden Gate Bridge? All right. So let's back up a little bit and start here. The present perfect can talk about events that have or haven't happened before now. So it starts in the past and continues up until now. But in this case, especially, the way we're asking the question, the exact time of the event here is unspecified. So we're asking a question that can mean in the whole history of your lifetime, has this ever happened? Did it ever occur? Did you ever do that by using the word ever? Okay, so let's take a look. I have hiked in interesting places. How do we make this construction? Well, I made this construction into a statement by using the noun or the pronoun first, in this case, I. Then I used have or has. I need to use have because that is the verb that matches with I, right? And then I use the verb in past participle form. In this case, hike is a regular verb, so it just takes a standard ed ending. And in this case, because hike is a noun consonant e, we drop the e and add the ed. That's why it's spelled that way. Okay, I have hiked. How would we take this statement and flip it around into a question? Well, remember, to flip something around to a question, you need to flip a couple pieces in your statement to make the question. Rather than using the noun or pronoun first and then have or has, you need to put have or has first and then use your noun or pronoun. So in this case, if I wanted to ask the question back to you, the statement would be you have hiked, but we need to swap the first two pieces to ask the question. And instead of saying you have hiked, my question is, have you hiked? So have or has comes first, then the noun or pronoun, and then the verb in the participle form. Okay? Easy enough, right? So let's go ahead and answer the question. So if I ask you the question, you can answer in a statement. Have you ever hiked? Okay, so let's pretend that your answer is the affirmative, yes. Okay, so we want to say yes, but we want to add more onto our answer. We could say yes, then you do the noun or pronoun, have or has, and then the verb in participle form. Yes, I have hiked. Of course, if you're listening to an English speaker, they are not going to say all of those words quite as carefully. You know us, we like to smush everything together. So we would say something more like, yes, I've hiked. Or we might say, yes, I have. What we would never say is, yes, I've. Please, please, please don't ever end a sentence in a contraction like that, where the contraction involves a pronoun. That is a big no-no. If you want to answer in the negative, you would say no, and then you would use your noun or pronoun, have, and then right in between have and your verb and participle form, right in between, you're making a verb sandwich, you want to put never. Never is the corresponding negative partner to ever. Ever, never. Ever, never. If someone says, have you ever hiked? You can say, I have never hiked. Or, of course, if you're an English speaker, you'd say, no, I've never hiked. Of course, you could also hear, no, I have not, or no, I haven't. Now, you're probably saying, but Kristen, didn't you just tell us not to end our sentences in a contraction? Yes, but remember, that's a contraction that involves a pronoun. Haven't does not involve a pronoun, does it? It's have and not. So you can end a sentence with haven't. You just can't end a sentence with a contraction that involves the pronoun. If the pronoun is involved, like I appear, okay, if the pronoun is in that contraction, you cannot have that as the last part of your sentence. Very important to know. All right, let's try again. How would you answer this question for yourself? I have been to many baseball games. I'm asking you, have you ever been to a baseball game? Perhaps your answer is in the positive. Yes, I have been to a baseball game. Of course, if you really want to get good at this, contraction, right? Yes, I've been to a baseball game. If you want to be really speedy, yes, I have. But remember, never yes, I've. That doesn't work. Why? Remember, the contraction involves a pronoun. Cannot end a sentence like that. Or maybe you have not seen a baseball game, or you have not been to a baseball game in person. So you would say, no, I have never been to a baseball game. Remember, ever, never, ever, never. If the question is asked with ever and you need to negate it, you negate it with never. Of course, sometimes you will also hear this statement, no, I have not been to a baseball game. That is also an acceptable way to answer the question. Rather than never, simply say not. No, I have not been to a baseball game. And of course, you could also hear, no, I have not, or the really fast version, no, I haven't. All of those are acceptable answers. All right, one more practice. My question to you is, have you ever seen the Golden Gate Bridge? Take a moment. I know you can get this right. All right, which was your response? Yes, I have seen the Golden Gate Bridge. No, I have never seen the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, whatever works for you. Here are some responses that you could have given. I hope you didn't say yes, I've. All right, you probably have a question. With the word ever, what do we mean when we use the word ever? What's the difference between asking a question using ever or not using ever? All right, let's take a look. I did a side by side here. This is really the same question on the screen. Just on the right hand side, I put one extra word in there. I put in the word ever. But let's start on the left. Have you seen Wanda? What that means is, if I'm asking you, have you seen Wanda? I mean lately, as in recently, somewhere close to now. If I ask you on the right-hand side, have you ever seen Wanda? What I mean by that is in your whole lifetime, like from the time you were born up until now, have you ever seen Wanda? So on the left-hand side, if I ask you, have you seen Wanda? I mean sometime close to now, lately, recently. If I ask you, have you ever seen Wanda? I mean in your whole entire life. And so you have to listen very carefully, because when a questioner asks you something and they put in ever, there's a big difference, because they don't mean close to now, they mean in your whole entire lifetime. So that's going to be important. Listen for that word ever, okay, in a question, because that will give you that general sense of time. Remember, it's not a specific time, it means your whole lifetime over the course of all of those years. Has that ever happened? All right, so here's your practice. Can you use these pictures to practice asking questions starting with, have you ever? What are some ways that we can ask questions based on these pictures? For example, maybe we're looking at the picture with the drums and we might ask, have you ever played the drums? Or maybe we will ask, have you ever gone to a concert? Or maybe we might ask, have you ever played in a band? Lots of ways to ask questions. Have you ever questions? If you really want to practice, find a friend and ask them some of the questions that you came up with for this screen. Or go back through your camera roll, go back through your pictures on your phone and think about all the really neat things that you have done in your life. Then find a friend and ask them if they have done those things too. Start your question with the phrase, have you ever? And then teach your friend how to answer correctly. All right, good luck. Keep studying.